That was exciting. Nuts this morning. Thanks for tuning in. Glad to have you back. I'm Jimmy if you haven't been here before. This is Making It Work. Stay tuned. Okay, we got this awesome European luxury car up in the air again. We got another transmission from the salvage yard. Let's go see it. Not sure what it looks like. Singing over the music. Singing over the music. There you go. Torque converter wasn't all the way in, but same thing on the last one. It's about 1.25 inches back. It has to be so that everything will fit without binding anything up. I guess all of these brackets for these don't ever really fit right. Holes at the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, this one moves. The other one I couldn't do that. I couldn't rock it on the park pin. It was locked solid, like something broke inside. Destroyed the motor mount. No one's adjusted the park pin up yet. Alright, this one looks a lot better. It's definitely not cracked on the side, like a drive shaft blew up on this one, so this one's good. Looks like it sat outside a little while, but we'll wire wheel that up, clean it up nice. Didn't come in a transfer case this time, so we'll have to use the other transfer case. Alright, we're underway. Right after lunch, I'm firing this thing. Alright, cleaned the rust off there pretty good. It was only surface rust. So, definitely didn't want to get, I didn't get the very edge here because I didn't want to get in there and mess with that seal. But transfer case should swine on there pretty good. Boom! We're underway. It'd be nice to see this car go. One less gobstopper. I'll show you guys how I figured out the other tranny was bad. This lever, it's hard to move, but it's not impossible. You can see how this output shaft, you can rock it. This transmission that they brought us last week, this is lock solid. You can't rock it. And the park lever bent trying to get it out of park. So I know there's some internal damage. The one LKQ brought us today, everything's good with that. This is a transfer case we got from a different junkyard on the LKQ transmission. So I know the park lever works, I know everything's kind of free, so at least it has a chance of working once I get it all up in the hole there. Alright, transmission in. I put the new pan on, new drive shafts in. I'll show you guys how close this thing comes to the transmission. That's the clearance right there. You guys see that? It's literally like, I would say 2 millimeters, maybe 3. Put the pocket screwdriver in there. There you go. Holds my pocket screwdriver. That's the clearance that destroys transmissions and transfer cases, apparently. So everything's torqued. I'm gonna get ready to put fluid in it, button this thing up. It's going to need to be programmed. These have a VIN-specific transmission control module inside the valve body. So I see my weld. Not the best weld. The machine's a little sketchy. It's hard to get the wire feed just right, but almost ready. This mount broke when I was putting it back in. Luckily the junkyard transmission had one, which I didn't think was in as good a shape. But when the original one broke, is when I touched it to the floor, the original one broke. So I took the salvage one off the other transmission. Hope you don't notice. This is the fluid fill. I gotta take this off, put about 3 or 4 quarts in there, probably 4. And then run it till it reaches 104 degrees. It says it right on the pan for you, easy to figure out. And as soon as it gets to 104 degrees and I run it through the gears, I can check the fluid level in. It's supposed to just barely trickle out. Then I can finish putting the under shields and all that stuff on. It'll be done, other than programming. Not a lot of room here to get a socket. It's 8 millimeter. So this is when that gear wrench set comes in handy. I put this in a wrench. And then I can get to it. I already loosened it, but showing you guys how it fits. Plenty of room here now. So it's one of the reasons I bought that set. I looked around for 8 millimeter Allen key for a while and couldn't find one. So good thing for that set. It's Probably gonna set all kinds of weird codes. Alright. Engine's running, fasten seat belts. Oh look, the air conditioning's on 70 and automatic. The question is, did I do that before? Or was it on manual and max fans and the coldest temperature possible before I got to it? Let's see if this thing goes into gear. Uh-oh. Alright, I get that's only the initial full anyway. Doesn't seem like it's going into gear, but I have to top off the fluid now that it's running. I only got about 3.5 quarts in it, so I'm hoping it'll take another couple of quarts. It wasn't reman, it was just drained from the pan. And I had to change the pan because it was damaged. So, let's lift it up and see where the fluid level's at. Gonna use my little pumper doohickey. See if we can top this up. I ran out of fluid. I had 5 quarts, so I ran out. I'm going to get some more. Now I got more fluid. And I've got to open this up. Fill it all the way up when it's not that hot yet, then it'll be slightly overfilled when it does get hot. And this thing's taking some fluid. They must have really drained it. And so far I've put 6 quarts in it. Wow. That's 7 quarts. You know what? They had this thing completely empty. I have to go get more freaking transmission fluid. It says 8.5 for a rebuild, and this wasn't rebuilt. And I'm at 7.5 quarts. Well, let's get another quart. Hopefully that'll fill it. So far I put 7.5 quarts in. I got 3 more quarts. That'll be 10.5. It says it only holds 8.5. When you rebuild it, someone's wrong. Might only take a half a quart and then it'll be full. You don't know till we try. Oh, look at that. Something's happening. Alright, let it drain. I'm going to let the fluid settle out of that until it stops running. When it goes from a stream to a slight trickle, then I'll put the plug in and we'll be good to go. I'm going to have to get a little bit hotter too. I want to get it at least over 100 degrees, 110 degrees. It's got to be somewhere in there. See the tow truck out there? On to trying to make a decent amount of money, even though I've been on this BMW for days. Connecting VCI for about 5 minutes now, so something's not right. The VCI is lit up, so that tells me to go home, to go out. Yes, I want to cancel, exit the application, and try it again. Sometimes you get a glitch in the matrix. Whoop, getting registered product information, diagnose, temporarily not renew. I know it's expired. I'm not going to pay $700 yet until it's been expired a while. I'll do European auto detect, see if it works now. Look at that. Did you see a black cat? So the problem with this car now is the salvage transmission's in. It hasn't been programmed yet, which I think is the problem. But it doesn't go into gear. That's how it was when it came in. Not going into gear and everything was blown up underneath. 2013 535i. Maybe if I clear codes, it'll let me go into gear. I'm hoping if I just clear codes, I can get it in and out of the shop until they come and program it. We're not going to do a BMW. Matter of fact, most of the mobile programmers we asked about it didn't want to do it. Be aware, turning off ignition. This is unusual. I want to say that's probably the first time I've had the scan tool shut off an engine to do PCM access. Actually, I think this is going to be a CAN access. It's going to probably try to do all the modules, but let's see. We are 3 minutes in. Started with a small bitch session, and now we're pinging all the modules. All right, system selection, drive, TCM. See what kind of codes are in the TCM. Okay. Diagnose index, ECU identify, production date 4/30/13. Read fault codes. Message group effect. Vehicle speed, locked braking detected at higher speed. Receiver EGS. Alright, I'm going to clear all the codes and see what comes back. Clear codes completed. Read fault codes. No fault codes. Now I want to go out to my ECM and see what my ECM says for codes. It might be mad about the transmission module being different. Power management standby, current violation 213601, intermittent. Do you want to display corresponding DT? Yeah, let's display those too. Power management standby, current violation, clear fault code. Okay. Now, I'm going to try starting this thing up. See if my dash lights are off or not. Yep, all my dash lights are off. It acknowledges that the hood's open. 66 degrees out, chilly Central Florida day. Battery discharging while stopped. Electrical devices were temporarily switched off. Okay, that's weird. Let's see if it goes into gear now. Maybe because the hood's open? Alright. Go into TCM again. See if we missed anything or have any new codes. Read fault codes. No fault codes. Alright. I'm going to go out and close the hood, and then we'll come back and see if we get this thing to work. I'm going to try perform resetting learning function. See if that'll do anything. The teach-in function may have to be reset in the following cases: trailer module, ACC, shift paddle, incorrect installation of rear axle, incorrect installation of automatic transmission, GWS replacement. Press OK to reset learning function. Reteaching was successful. I don't want to say nothing, but I don't think it was. It has to be something in the programming. Resetting adaptation function. Display and reset adaptation values. Adaptation values are reset successfully. So there's no codes about the transmission module being different. You know what that means? Now I'm just going to hit clear DTCs. Try to get all the modules happy. It'll clear all the codes it saw. None of them are going to be relevant. I'm not worried about saving them because the battery's been disconnected. The transmission's different. So transfer case is different, although I did transfer over the transfer case control module from the original transfer case to this one. All the damaged parts have been changed. There's no point in recording all of these codes. Most of them are going to be erroneous. The battery was pretty low and disconnected. So anytime you have a weak battery or a disconnected battery, you're going to have all kinds of odd fault codes. Sometimes codes will set just when you reconnect the battery. So something like this, I'll just go through, clear all my codes, and I'll start from scratch. After this procedure finishes, there may still be a warning light or fault code displayed until the vehicle has completed a road test and the ignition switch off for 10 seconds and back on. It's clearing all my codes. Wouldn't it be nice if this fixes it and it gets it to work where I can drive it? It may not even need to be programmed. We're all assuming it's going to be programmed because there's a module in the transmission. I don't think this has a VIN write, where it'll talk on the CAN system and upload the VIN to this module to correct it. I believe that has to be done with programming. It seems happy. All the codes are cleared. Let's see if it goes into gear now. Nope. Press brake. I know. Press unlock. So it's seeing the unlock and the brake. No codes are resetting, but the transmission doesn't go into gear. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to just go ahead and get someone to come try to program this thing. Basically all I'm doing right now, I want to be able to get it out of my bay. I got other vehicles to work on, so I got a bus, big motorhome out there. Customer approved $4,500 in repairs on this 1994 motorhome. Nobody expected that. So now we actually have to do the work. Interesting. TCM. Yes. TCM. ECU did not read out the corresponding code configuration of possible values by calculating or as follows. Please ensure if the system needs coding or needs programming before coding. Okay, so that tells me a lot. That means it has to be programmed before you can even code it. So my BMW people out there can go in the comments and tell me about this coding versus programming, what the difference is. I would assume the coding has to do with option packages, but normally during any kind of programming you have to put all the option packages that may be in there, especially with a GM, Ford, or Chrysler. Sometimes it has you look at the tag, the body build tag, so you can know what options a vehicle has. Kind of strange. Yes, I'm really gonna quit. Yep. All right. So this is basically gonna be stuck in the shop till someone comes to program. All right, on to the next phase of the operation. Apparently nobody wants to program the BMW. So now we're going back in, taking off the brand new panel I just put on, and we're gonna swap out the valve bodies where the TCM module is and see if it'll come out of gear then. Of course, when the car came in, it wouldn't come out of gear, but I didn't waste my breath trying to explain it. I'm just gonna go ahead and swap the valve bodies out. We'll see what happens. It's either gonna work or it's not. We got two possibilities. It'll work or it won't. See what happens. These valve bodies are pretty straightforward. All of the small bolts you leave in there because they keep the valve body halves together. The larger bolts hold the valve body to the case. That's the last bolt. I'm letting it drain out. And then there's a little sleeve in there. You have to undo this clip and slide it down. You can pull the sleeve out that adapts to this connector. And then there's a solenoid you got to take out. It's only 3 bolts holding the solenoid in, which is this big Johnny. And once you take that out, then you can lower this to get that out. The valve body's basically floating now. So we'll let it drain a few minutes and then drop it down. We'll put the original one over there, back up in it. Piece of cake. She's taking it like a champ. Don't forget, if you do one of these, that the speed sensor is on a little pigtail separate from the valve body, so be careful not to break that off. I'll show you where it goes up in the transmission here. It's right here. It's got one little bolt up there holding this in. That sensor will come out with the valve body. One of the biggest things on these jobs is this shifter arm. You got to make sure that the bell crank is captured in the shifter arm correctly when you put it back up. Everything else you can do after, but this has got to be lined up as you put the valve body back up. And this is under a little bit of spring tension. So this is not in the correct position right now. So you put the valve body hooked into it and you push it forward to line the bolts up. That's why with one bolt it was kind of bound up and not loose. All because of the spring on the park lever, shift lever. So it's all electronically shifted, but this is to force it out of park when it fails on the road and leaves you stranded. Once you push the adapter in, you can slide that up, put your bolt in there. These 2 bolts go in first, then the big solenoid goes in, and the last two bolts hold that in. So I already torqued the speed sensor, torqued all the valve body bolts. It's 8 Newton meters. So we're making headway. It's going back together. All right. Oh, dropped you guys. Sorry about that. See if we can get this transmission to work. Got the valve body switched out from the original broken transmission case. Adjustments. Reset adaptation values. Reset the next step. Reset successfully. End service function. Read fault codes. No fault codes. Should go into gear. Wish me luck. Look at that. I got D on the dash and D on the shifter. Let's see reverse. Got reverse. Look at that. Whew. Let's put her in park. Nice. Alright. Finally. Did some dancing. It's almost 12:30 now. Been working on this all morning. I'm going to go ahead and put the splash shield on the bottom and take this thing for a drive. Now there's no fluid leaks. It's holding that. So we just got to drive it, make sure everything shifts correctly. We've got 8 speeds to worry about. All right. BMW out for a cruiser Rooney. That's what the kids like to call it. Look at this. This car hasn't rolled in like 3 weeks on its own power. We pushed in and out plenty. This thing's going under its own power now. Got my phone and my wallet with me just in case. It's a 5-mile road test and it's a BMW, so it's a long walk, so I brought my phone because junkyard parts, BMW, you know, all that stuff. I'm sorry, BMW guys, I can't help myself. I just think it's funny. Oh, let me put my seatbelt on so I don't get yelled at by the seatbelt police. Look at the traffic coming. I definitely am not going to pull out in the traffic with a freshly used transmission that I don't know how it's going to respond. I got some room. Yeah, we're all right. Alright. Look at that thing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This thing's only at 1200 RPM. It might not even go into 8th gear yet, because I'm only going 50. Nope, tire light's on. Dang it. Gonna have to do a tire pressure adjustment when we get back. So far, so good. That's nice. I'm gonna put my camera down while I'm driving, so no one looks at me funny, wants to put me in jail. See you guys in a minute when we get back to the shop. I hope this thing's got start stop. It just shut off. That's start stop. When I let off the brake, it'll start again. See? Told you. Perfect. It's actually a nice riding car. I like to rag on BMW because everything seems awkward to work on to me, because I'm not a European mechanic, I guess. European car specialist, but they actually ride nice. Comfortable, it handles well. I mean, this is like a utility sedan, I guess you'd call this thing. 535 X-Drive, but it's actually a pretty nice car. Hopefully nothing else explodes on it. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Look at that. I made it back safely. BMW reliability, second to none. Come on, that was sarcasm. I'm going to air up the tires now. And this car's ready to go. The boss will probably want to take it for one more drive, since I think that the bill's going to be like 8 or 10 grand or something like that, I guess. We'll see what happens. But I'm done with it for now. A little bit of air and we're good to go. Alright guys, looks like we're getting ready to locking up the shop. Got a lot of people back on the road. Try to make it work. That's what we do. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Thanks guys.